Stereo Azimuth here, and I want to talk a little bit about the Rode NT1. Now, not the new Rode NT1, the old NT1, the one from like the 2000s, the one that I sort of remember, this cream-colored looking body with this, weird grill. And it was sold in Guitar Center and all these other places. Mars, probably anybody remember Mars? Rode was one of these great companies that made these very affordable, high quality microphones for home studio use, because everybody was getting like home studio recording gear, and everybody needed good microphones to record at home with, and couldn't always afford like these top end Sennheiser and Neumann and AKG condenser microphones. And so here comes Rode from Australia, from down under, making these very great, very affordable, high quality microphones. And so and now everybody's kind of going crazy over the new Rode NT1, which I kind of don't like, but we'll get into that in a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to show you is that, they were very, they went after Neumann very early on in the beginning, and you can even see here's a Rode NT2. This is actually the NT1 and the NT2, the original ones, looked kind of the same, kind of similar, and you can definitely tell where they're getting their design sort of clues from, right? As far as the shape, I mean, you can almost mistake this for a Neumann U87, even though that it's all FET, I guess just like a U87. But I mean, you can see. This is a dual polar pattern. There are NT1s that look like this as well. And there were some rumors at the time, back in the 2000s. It was like some lawsuit, or Neumann was very mad that they're stealing their design or stealing their circuit, and everybody's like, oh man, you can get a Neumann for really cheap. Condenser technology has been around, for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Ever since the 30s and the 40s. Obviously, we got to be able to make it and make it cheaper. And AKG and Sennheiser and Neumann can't be the only game in town, right? But these are also where MXL mics came from China. That's what I'm using. And that's why I decided to, start to look at what is the, upgrade mic, because I want to sound great. I don't want to use this MXL $100 microphone. I think that there are some other mics out there. So one of the things I found in doing the NT1 is that it changed over the years. The design of the NT1 changed slightly, and then they created the NT1A. Now, rumors were, like I said, because of there was lawsuits and whatever. That's all hearsay. I don't care about that. I don't know anything about that. I do know this. There is a link, and I'll post this link, so don't worry about copying it down. But this is from this gentleman, Jim Williams, who he basically was a designer at Rode Microphones. And this was from Gearspace, from a post from December 31st of 2009. He's a lucky boy, you have it, original NT1A. I designed it with super low noise Hitachi transistors and a Siliconix RF JFET. As you can see, it has German Roderstein metal film resistors and WEMA polypropylene film caps. As it is, there is little to do to improve it. It was built, quote unquote, modified. Peter Friedman did try to use lesser quality parts after the design, but elected to use the quality parts I designated, as they also heard the improved sonics from those parts. The NT2 was repriced from $699 to $749 to include the quality parts. Since then, competition has been fierce. Now remember, this is from December 31st, 2009. Peter elected to lower the production cost of the Rode line, so that's when the good stuff was chucked for all low-cost surface-mount parts. Those are the Rode mics you see today. There are no frequency feedback nets in that design. There are a pair of 470 PF caps, and I'm sure he means like UF or microfarad. But yes, he meant 470 picofarad. Sorry, moving on. At the base of each Hitachi output transistor to ground, so that you can increase the value to lower the HF bandwidth, high frequency bandwidth. Try 1500 or 2200 microfarad. And he probably I'm certainly it's not picofarad, but I'm sure it's microfarad. But a lot of people use PF because they don't use alt 270 or alt 230 to actually make the micro symbol. Quick fix here of what mistake that I made in here is I talked about the cap values being like microfarad or not picofarad. He actually does mean picofarad. And the reason why is because in the other post, I actually found, where the guy did the mod, and he posted the sound links, which you can find in the notes, or the whatever. So it's actually, he changed these to C5 and C4 that are starred that you see on the board. So from the previous picture, it's kind of swapped around, but you kind of get the idea that because if I go up here, you can kind of see it's the board is the mic is kind of flipped over from its position from the previous photo, but this was that person's picture. What's the guy's name? Mikey77 from gearspace.com. Thank you, Mikey. So those probably are going to be 470 picofarad, because there's no way that a microfarad would be that small in a WEMA cap. So, but yeah, that's very interesting that he says this. So I did some more research, did some more digging. And, and there is a post that I'll also post in the link where somebody actually did this mod where they changed the caps from 470 to 2200. He had the original NT1, changed it to the 2200, and you can hear the bass response. I mean, the NT1 and the NT1A are kind of known for their harsh high end and not a lot of low end. But you can hear the NT1 and it sounds much fuller, much better, much improved. Let me just show you kind of I found a picture of the two circuits that were here, and you can see what he's talking about. On the bottom is an original NT1, and on the top is the NT1A, or actually an NT1. You can see they're both NT1s. But you can see the circuit board is exactly the same, but the components are changed. Some of the components are changed. You can see here in the C3 and the C5 position, those are changed. You can see the C15 changed. That looks like a WEMA. Those all look like WEMA caps on the bottom. C15, C3, C5, and the other two that are there. And then they look like they're changed over here on the top one. If you look further to the right of the board, there's also, I can't see that C19 or C, whatever that one is, that's next to R11. That looks like another WEMA cap that was changed. The two electrolytic caps look like different. You can see there's also WEMA and C8 that looks like it may not be the same WEMA. If you look further right, there's even some look like maybe multi-layer ceramics or something like that on either side of that transistor that might not be the same. And then you can also see at the bottom left in R3, R6, R5, look at the color of the resistors. Now, he called them like Rodenstein, like resistors, but look up at the top. The colors are not quite the same. So yeah, you can definitely tell where the parts were changed. Now, I ordered a NT1 off of Reverb, and I can't wait to get in to see which version that I have. And if it's the older version, or excuse me, if it's the little bit more newer version with the replacement parts, then I can do a comparison where I can change the parts, and then we can kind of do this A/B comparison. If I do that, I'll put that up here. So we'll see whichever the case may be when the NT1 comes in. I'll open it up, and we'll take a listen to it. But let's go back here, and once I did some further research, and I found that the NT1, of course, then changed from this where these are through hole parts, which means somebody actually had to hold and place and solder these together to a machine, putting it together with SMD, surface mount parts. So this is a NT1A with, surface mount parts. No high-end WEMAs, no high-end... now, I haven't looked at the whole thing. I don't have an NT1A to compare. But this is what they went for. This is what Jim Williams was referring to. And if you look further, here is the NT1, the current version. This is what it looks like. Still surprised that people like the newer version with all this like SMD parts and stuff like that. To me, the NT1 of the comparisons that I've heard, the new NT1 just sounds kind of dark, sounds kind of muffled. Not really feeling it. I do hear what people are talking about as far as the NT1 and NT1A being kind of like bright. And I'm hoping, like I said, that this new NT1, because I'm trying to upgrade from this, $100 MXL V67G, and hopefully I can do some comparisons even with its stock, like with because this V67G has been around almost as long as the NT1A, and it actually has through hole parts as well. Not that many, but it does have some that could be upgraded as well. I haven't looked into that not very far, at least. But anyway, it's just something that I wanted to share with the circuit design and stuff like that. Is as companies like Rode started out trying to make, like I said, high-end, affordable products, but then they're subject to doing some things and making some compromises and having to go to SMD parts to make stuff sort of affordable. And so yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating that everybody go out and buy an old mic and go to it and solder, because doing DIY stuff or modification, you're subject to like making it completely obsolete or messing something up. So always when you're doing modifications, use caution. But I just thought I would throw it out there. Throw it out, this kind of stuff, whether somebody, a lot of people like through hole parts versus SMD. A lot of times I don't really care that much about that kind of stuff. But in some instances, as far as the design and some of the components, I mean, that has to do with the sound, the overall sound, especially if you're changing values. I mean, that doesn't, to change a value to make it sound, cheaper to where it doesn't, I mean, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. But I've seen it happen. I've seen where, like one amplifier and then the next one up, like or they won't use as high of filter caps or something like that in the power supply or something like that to make it, to change the sound. I mean, it just happens. So anyway, hopefully when I get, like I said, the NT1, when I get it in, we'll listen to it. We'll do and then I'll post the video up here. And then even if I do say that it does need to be modded or whatever, then we'll talk about that then and see what goes on. But anyway, I'm excited about getting like an original NT1 in for an affordable price, because they were originally like $600 or $500 or something like that. So anyway, Stereo Azimuth, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the flippity flip. See you later.